Why am I starting this at 10 p.m.? Because I just drank some green tea, and it doesn't matter how tired I am. If I drink caffeine after like 9 p.m., I'm not going to be able to go to sleep until 4 in the morning, so might as well try to be productive. And after all, what is time anymore? Hi everyone! This video is different than anything that I've really done on my channel. So I had this old dress that I wanted to remake into a nice cute little jumper, so I went ahead and did that. So if you are interested in seeing how I got here after a long mock-up of an evening gown with a mermaid tail and all kinds of stuff, I'll explain it in a second. But if you want to see how I made this, then go ahead and keep on watching. Hi everyone! So ignore the craziness all around me. I am fully in those final stages of moving. I am out of this house by the end of the month. I already moved up most of my sewing stash, so that's already up in Georgia, but I kept everything relating to another project that I'm working on, which is very big and is taking up a lot of time, and I promise you guys will eventually see it, but it's only about halfway done right now. And there was one project that I found. So in preparation for the move, I did have to go through all of my sewing stash, everything that I had, a whole bunch of fabric, stuff that I had tucked away from way back in like junior year of college, so some of this stuff is 4 or 5 years old. And I found an old project of mine that I kept because this was back in the day when I ran a blog and I wanted to do this huge blog post about the making of my Morticia Addams costume for the Addams family, so I kept all of my mock-ups and all of my different things so that I could write about them and take pictures of them, and that never happened, so all of my mock-ups were just kind of taking up space. But one of them I made out of this really nice like suede fabric that my mom just kind of had in the bottom of a drawer, so she wasn't using it, so I took it. But I have that, and just for fun, I went and I tried the dress on, and it doesn't fit. And I noticed that even though it was really hard to get in and out of, and I kind of remember it being a little hard to get in and out of back in the day, but when I was trying to get out of it, I noticed that the little mermaid tail skirt actually fit perfectly around my waist. And I've always kind of wanted like a circle skirt kind of jumper thing. And I also want to put like a big pocket right here because when I'm sewing, I like to keep a pair of scissors right here so that I always have them within reach. So I think what I'm going to do is basically just kind of cut the skirt a couple inches above where the mermaid hem starts. I'm going to turn that into a waistband, and then I'm going to cut the back, add a zipper, which I'm pretty sure I have a bunch of zippers hanging around somewhere. So I'm going to add a zipper in and then figure out something to put a little bib in front and do some maybe not cross straps, but like some straps in there or something. So now what I'm going to do is, because I really don't feel like getting in and out of that dress again because it was very difficult to get out of, and now that my roommate has officially moved out and I'm the only one left in this house, if I get stuck in it, I'm stuck, and it's almost 10 o'clock at night, so I won't exactly be able to call anybody for help, so I'm not going to put the whole thing on. Maybe I'll put some pictures in right now of way back in the day when I originally drafted the dress. I think this was my final mock-up before I made the actual real dress. But anyway, so I think what I'm going to do is, I think a 2-inch waistband will be good, so I'm going to cut, I think 4 inches above and then maybe 4.5, and then fold it over and then sew it. Also, I'm going to be sewing in very weird locations because my house is a disaster, or rather, my room is a disaster area. The rest of the house is clean and open, so I'm gonna bring my sewing machine out into the living room and do some work out there. So I'm probably gonna throw it back to when I did a lot of sewing in college, and I did a lot of it on my living room floor in my dorm. Here is the dress. What I was trying to say is that I have no idea what I'm doing. So I find that in my sewing when it comes to clothes, I feel like I get really hung up before I even start projects by thinking that I have to do something really high quality, really professional quality, and it really kind of discourages me from doing clothes, especially right now with my body changing so much in such a short period of time, when I know that if I make a garment and if I make it to fit me really well right now, the chances of it fitting me in 2 weeks are slim to none, which is really frustrating, but it's kind of the reality of what I'm dealing with. But I've been watching a lot of Makara Tours on YouTube, and she's this really delightful combination of trying to do things really historically accurately, and she knows what she's talking about. And then she also just kind of has this really out there video style and editing style, and sometimes she does crazy stuff like make dresses out of couches and dresses out of adult diapers. But something that I did notice in her videos is that she's not really afraid to leave things kind of. Basically, what I'm trying to say is she doesn't really get hung up on doing everything super properly and super professionally every single time. So I really want to kind of try that. Another reason that I want to work with this fabric is this is a very old piece of fabric, and I think it's some kind of suede knit because it's not fraying at all. So I think I'm going to be able to cut a couple of corners there, and I don't think I'm even gonna have to properly hem this because it's basically a circle skirt, so there's so much fabric and it's all condensed, so you're not gonna see any like super tiny nitpicky little things. Also, it's just going to save me a bunch of steps, and this way I don't have to worry about finishing the inside super nicely, because if it's not going to fray, I don't have to worry about, stitches popping out because they are fraying. They might pop out because I have a big lunch that day, but they're not going to pop out because the fabric's fraying away from it. Another reason I wanted to do this project is one of my New Year's resolutions this year was to stop buying fast fashion, and for the most part I've been really good about it. I really don't want to contribute to that. I tell myself it's for the good reasons, and that I don't want to contribute to things like more pollution and clothing waste, and I want to make sure that the clothes that I buy are produced by people in ethical conditions who are paid fair wages, and unfortunately for fast fashion that's usually not the case. So I want to remake and repurpose a lot of my old clothes, and I thought this would be a really good way to repurpose an old project of mine that otherwise would get thrown out, because this is kind of an odd cut of fabric and all the little panels that go into it are cut kind of weird, so I won't really be able to reuse it very well. So this would otherwise pretty much get thrown away. So I feel like this would be a really good way to try to reuse it. So in short, this is going to be an experiment, and I'm just going to try to document everything I did. So if it turns out really well, you can see what I did and hopefully follow it. And if it turns out horribly, you can judge me and laugh at me for it, because I will also probably be doing that as well. Before we get out there, I'd like to apologize for the echo in my house. All of the furniture is gone, so it's very echoey. There's a lot of reverb going on. And I'd also like to apologize for the lighting situation. We only have one floor lamp left, and it is in my boyfriend's old room, which I'm using for my quilt, my big project that I'm working on, and that lamp is broken and it is very fragile, so if I try to move it again, it is probably going to fall apart. So I'm just going to leave it in there and we'll make do. Alright, so here I have what I did with the skirt. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a mirror, because if I remember correctly, there was a front and a back to this train. The front was a little bit shorter and the back was a little bit longer. So I'm going to go adjust that and make sure I find that again. I think I can do it by the seaming, but I just want to double check, because I do have kind of a bit of a booty, so I do need this longer in the back than in the front. So I'm going to go try to find the back and the front, and then once I do that, I'm going to draw a line in the back where I want to eventually cut and put in the zipper. You see, this is why I need a new camera. First of all, because it eats through batteries like that, and I want a camera with a rechargeable battery. And because the little fold-out display on that does not work, and it's useless unless I'm still somewhere behind the camera, so... Alright, so I apparently didn't sew this on very straight, which I kind of anticipated, and I'm okay with it. It looks fine. So I think the sides were kind of long, and then the front and the back were kind of short. Anyway, fixed it. I marked my front and I marked my back, but before I cut into it, I think I'm going to fold this waistband down and give a good press before I cut, because sometimes with circle skirts and with kind of rounder waistbands, it's kind of hard to match things up properly and have things actually be sewn straight. When you fold it over, sometimes things get kind of wonky. So I figured this way it will make it easier to ease out and make sure everything is nice and straight and well aligned before I cut into it and install the zipper. So that is, I think, what I'm going to do next. All right, now the question is, can I get out of this again? Oh God, boobs. Oh my, okay. All right, I can do this. I have tiny shoulders. Whew. Okay, so now we're in my other roommate's room, which is even more echoey. He literally just moved out a couple days ago. So next thing I'm going to do is turn this right side out and just kind of look at the waistband and make sure it's relatively even all the way around. It's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. And then once I do that, because I can see I have a little bit of puckering and this happens to be right in the front, I'm going to try to smooth this out, and then I'm going to repin this, I think from the outside, and then I'm basically just gonna like top stitch this down from the outside. And I think that's gonna be a very lazy way to do it, but it's gonna work. Okay, I'm kind of shocked that actually like worked, sort of. Where is it? Okay, so now I'm checking the waistband, and it didn't really catch right here, but I think that's the only little, oh yikes, that looks a little bad. That looks bad too. That is the front. You know what, since that's kind of towards the front, I'm not really gonna worry about it, because when I put the front piece on, the bib on, that might get fixed, or I might be able to fix it there. All right. Overall, that went mostly okay. You know, now that I sit here and think about it, I might need to rotate this and put the back somewhere else, because there is a lot of fabric right here. This was a point where I took it in the original mock-up. So cutting through here is like 4 layers of fabric, and then to do the zipper, I would have to like double that over. That's a lot of fabric. So I think I'm gonna try to arrange it so that I can get to put the zipper somewhere where there's less fabric, like right here. So that might look weird, but let's see how this works out. Let's see what I can do with this. You know, now that I think about it, the zipper doesn't necessarily have to go in the back. I could, in theory, do a side zipper. Those are things that exist. So I know for a fact that I do own a navy 7-inch zipper, but I think that is in the stash that got moved up to Georgia already. So for these zippers, the 2 colors that I think would not be ridiculously loud against this are the black and the brown. And first I thought the brown would go better, but now that I'm looking at it, I think the black would actually make a better zipper. And then I will measure out a side zipper, probably on the right side, because I am right-handed and my left hand is useless. I lied, it's going to go in the left side because there's some funky seaming going on in the right side. And then, where did I put my Sharpie? see, this is why I need pockets on me at all times, because I lose all my stuff if I don't have a pocket to stick it in. So my white balance is kind of messed up, so I don't think you can see this. But you know, I'm actually going to do this a little weird, and I'm going to mark, this is the side point. And then I'm basically going to turn this into the front and back so I can have a little bit more of an even flat surface to work with. All right. If I remember correctly, zippers don't usually go well in circle skirts, but it's what we're working with. All right, so now I'm going to mark, that's about where I want the top to start. I'm gonna mark there, and then I'm gonna mark where the bottom of this is, maybe about 1/8 of an inch up. I'm going to be very careful not to touch anything or shift anything. And then I'm just going to draw a straight line between these 2 points. And I lied, and I'm going to tug on it a little bit because it's not straight. But it's as straight as it's going to get. So now this is the terrifying part. But YOLO, if I mess it up, it is a lesson learned. And I'm just going to cut along that line. This is the zipper. You know what, this is tight and I'm probably not going to be able to fit in this longer than the next 2 weeks, so I'm just going to do this the lazy way. And if I wind up being able to wear this for much longer, then I'm going to redo it at some later point. You know what? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll zigzag stitch this down so it kind of like binds itself. So that's, I learned on a different costume that that's like a really kind of cheating but quick and easy way to like finish a seam without putting, or finish putting in a zipper, just so that it doesn't fray. It looks kind of bad up close, which is why I wouldn't recommend it, but we're gonna break a lot of rules today. What's the point of being an artist if you can't break some rules? What's the fun in that? Is it pretty? No. Does it work? Kind of. The important thing is the zipper is attached. You see, I always grew up sewing through pins. My mom sewed through pins. When I took home ec in high school, they sewed through pins. But then y'all on YouTube convinced me sewing through pins was like the worst sin that you could ever commit. And look at the mess it's got me in. And we have a zipper. It's not pretty, but it works. All right, so now I'm going to try this on just to make sure everything still kind of fits right, or okay. And then I'm going to decide how I want the bib to look. Okay, so the zipper looks kind of awful. If it's not sitting at like the exact right place, it makes everything fall kind of weird. It's not that bad, and I feel like if you didn't know any better, you might not notice it. That's a lie, you will notice it. It looks kind of bad. But we'll see what happens with my weight and if I actually care enough to fix this at a later time. Because right now, I'm not confident that I'm going to be able to wear this. Anyway, so now I'm going to do the bib part. And I think what I decided is I want like a triangular kind of shape. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of measure this out to where I eventually want it. So I want it to come up to about here, which falls, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Let's just call that an even. What measurement is that? 10 inches. So I want this to be about 10 inches tall, or long, I guess. Yeah, 10 inches tall. And then at the bottom, let's see, we'll call this, like start at about here and go to about here. So that's 8 inches. So 8 inches on the bottom, 10 inches on the top, and then tall, and then I want this to kind of be over here, which is about 11 inches. Yeah, we'll call it that. So 11 inches at the top, 10 inches long, 8 inches at the bottom, add on a half an inch to like finish everything nicely. Yeah, let's just go for that. So I'm going to see if I can even cut that out of what I have left, which I probably will be able to, but it might have to be a little creative. So 11, 10, 8, and then a half inch all around. All right, I'm gonna get on that. So I was able to conveniently cut a piece almost exactly the size I need out of one of the front bodice pieces. So I have my shape all traced out. So basically I just took the widest point, drew an 11-inch line, found the center of that, dropped it down, drew an 8-inch line, and then connected the two in a way that it was 10 inches. I did a lot of measuring and nothing really matched up the way it was supposed to until the end. So yeah, if you're trying to do this, good luck with that. Also, I'm probably supposed to put some sort of darts in there because I am not shaped completely flat in the front. I have some significant boobage going on in the front, but it's not going to fit perfectly, and you know what? I'm okay with that. We're going to figure that out when we get there. Also, when it comes to the straps, I think I decided I'm going to put the buttons on this piece and then put the button holes in the straps because I think I'm going to be able to reinforce the button holes a little bit better, and I think I'm going to be able to like have it pull up a little bit better doing it that way. I don't know. I don't entirely know what I'm going to do, but we'll figure it out when we get there. Okay, so here is my bib piece, and I think basically I just kind of like folded it on my lines and then ironed it and then sewed it all around so it's nice and kind of finished. And I think I'm going to kind of take the easy way out when I'm attaching this and just kind of attach it straight on, dead on, since everything is kind of already finished. And that'll ease bulk because I won't have to sew it this way and then flip it up and then sew it down again. So I think just having it arranged this way will make it a little bit easier on me. So I'm going to try to align this with the center front. I think this seam winds up being center front. So I'm going to align it, fold it in half, find the center, and then just kind of stitch it on. It just occurred to me that I should probably take this opportunity to add on the patch pocket because it's going to be a lot easier to do it when it's nice and flat like this as opposed to when it's attached to the skirt. So I'm just going to cut myself a little rectangle. I'm probably going to measure these just to make sure I can fit this in there and pretty much do exactly the same thing where I'm going to cut it out and then fold it all inwards, and then I'm just going to attach it on the three sides to the front of this. Alright, so here it is with the bib sewn on in the little pocket. I haven't looked at it in the mirror yet, so I don't know what it looks like, but I did notice while sewing it, there's a lot of bulk right here in the waistband, so I might actually cut that out at some point. I'll see what it looks like, but here's kind of where we're at right now. So next order of business is figuring out the straps, and I think I want to keep it really simple and just have straight straps and just attach them in the back, and then they can hook on in the front or something. So yeah, I'm gonna go take a look at this and see what I think of it, and then come back to figure out the strap situation. Okay, so I went to the mirror. Sits a little weird. It's okay. I'm happy. So pleasantly surprised with it. Admittedly, all of the stitching here looks really weird, so at some point I might want to cover that up with some sort of trim. That's probably a decision I'll make after I decide whether or not I want to cut this bit of the waistband out. So to figure out the strap situation, I just kind of took my ruler and eyeballed about how far I want the straps to be, and then just kind of generally did this, eyeballed how much there was left, and I basically came up with, I think I want the straps to be 30 inches long. I think that's going to give me enough room to kind of play with and adjust, and I think that's going to come out to be just about right where I want it. So I'm going to cut them 30 inches long, and I want them 5 inches wide. So I want them to be, once they're folded over and sewn, I want them to be 2 inches wide. And then when I press them, they're going to be 2 inches wide. I might go ahead and kind of top stitch those when they're done, to make them lie a little bit flatter and keep them flat. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart all of the skirt panels, the other skirt panels, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to get, or I'm going to be able to piece together the piece that I need. It's also 12:15, so I got a lot done for only 2 hours worth of work. All right, so basically I just turned them, or sewed a bunch of pieces together that hopefully equals about 30 inches. This one might be closer to 29, but that's okay, I can make that work. So basically I just pieced them together and then sewed them right sides together into tubes. So now I'm just turning the tubes right side out. And from the one that I did, it looks like these kind of want to naturally lie with the seam in the back, so I might not actually have to top stitch this. I might just give this a good press and call it that, because I did notice that when I was pressing this part in the pocket, it was pretty much staying, even though I think that's really just because it was kind of melting. So we'll see. So now what I'm going to do is give these a press, and then I'm going to fold one end kind of inward and then top stitch that down. I'll show you what I mean when I get there. I'm going to kind of like fold it into itself, and then I'm going to attach them to the back, and then figure out how long they need to be, and then do the same thing to the front. And then we're going to worry about buttons and buttonholes. So I need to go through my stash, which luckily I have my button stash here. So then I can pick some buttons that I like. And I think I did decide that I'm going to put the buttons on this side, just because I think the buttonhole will have a little bit more staying power if I sew it onto this one, and it won't like stretch or warp as much. At least that's what I'm hoping. So yeah, now that this is done, I'm going to give this a press, and then I'll show you what I mean with the whole like turning it inside out kind of thing. So something that just occurred to me is that earlier when I was ironing, I noticed it was really hard to move the iron, and it kind of got stuck and it didn't want to go. And usually when that happens, your first thought is, oh God, I'm melting it, it's sticking. But then I just realized that suede has like a smooth side and then a rough side, and yeah, I was just kind of going against the rough side. Anyway, so here's what I'm talking about with the like folded in. So here's just like a nice end of it. So all I'm gonna do is just pull it apart, tuck the ends in, and just kind of adjust it until it's nice and flat. So I'm just gonna do that on one side of both of these, and then we'll figure out where I want to attach these on the back. So now I'm just gonna stitch across here. Real simple. Maybe I'll go 2 or 3 times just to make sure it's real secure. But yeah, that's it. So that's all I'm going to do right there. All right, back in the really echoey room. So now I'm just trying to figure out where I want to actually attach the straps. So I'm kind of thinking I might want to mirror where this is on the back, and maybe this could be like the inner side of where it gets attached. Ooh, you know, I wish I had the idea earlier to make all of these super long, because I think this is actually really cute, and just have it attached. But then I would have to have the buttons in the back, and then that's... Okay, yeah, never mind. Glad I went with what I did. All right, so put that aside. So if I did that with my original plan, this would kind of be attached probably right about there. And then I could bring it forward. And I was thinking this is probably also long enough that if I wanted to, I might even be able to crisscross the straps, because I was thinking if I just have them straight, they might kind of slide off every now and then because I have kind of slopey shoulders. So if I wanted to, if I'm like working hard or something, I can, working hard, I don't work hard. I could crisscross them and then they'd be less likely to slip off. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm probably going to take this off, fold it flat, and then just pin, like I said, the inner corner of this to where the outer portion of this meets up. And I think that'll give me kind of a nice, even, cohesive kind of look. So then once that happens, I'll sew them on, and I'll probably do the same thing I did here where I sew up the sides. Although this might have a little bit more tension on it, so I might do a full rectangle. It's also much smaller, so it'll be much quicker to do a full rectangle. So I'm probably, I'm gonna do like a full rectangle of top stitching around this. Same thing, I'm gonna attach this to the outside instead of to the inside because I wanna mimic this going on. And if I do eventually decide to kind of cover this waistband and do a little bit more trim, it'll look the same. I want it to look intentionally messy, because having it like unintentionally messy just looks sloppy, but having it intentionally messy is a look. So that's kind of what I'm going for at this point. It is now also 12:55 in the morning, so I've been at this for almost 3 hours. And actually I'm almost kind of close to done. I probably will have this done within the hour. Yeah. I just jinxed myself by saying that. I always do that. Alright, so I consulted my button stash, and this is what I am using. I don't remember what I used only one of these for. But anyway, I have 2 of them, and they're black, so I think they'll make the zipper maybe look not as awful. I don't know, we'll see. But these are a good size. I like how they are. They also are a little bit raised. So considering that the suede is going to be kind of thick, I think this is going to work better than any sort of flat buttons. So for my machine, the buttonhole stitch is really simple. So I'm just going to kind of go ahead and do that real quick. Actually, I got to measure something out real quick. I'm going to come right back. This is the home stretch, and I'm so tired and I want to go to bed. And this is the part where my machine is going to throw a complete temper tantrum because it's what it does all the time. Oh my god, I'm so close to being done. Alright, so I have my straps on, so now what I'm going to do is put them on real quick, see where they line up. I'm going to make sure that they're not, Actually, I need pins for this. I will be right back. Alright, so now I'm just going to kind of pin this real quick where I want everything to meet at the top. And then from there, I can do the finer adjustments. So it's pulling up a little high, which means this is a little looser on my waist than I thought. That'll work. One of my problems here is that I have one boob significantly bigger than the other, like it's a cup size bigger. So whenever I'm fitting things around the bust, to make things even, I have to make things kind of uneven. Alright, so I think this will be a good kind of length for the straps. I think this might also give me enough room if I put the buttonhole like right here. I think that'll give me enough room. So that if I wanted to crisscross them, I probably would also be able to do that. So my camera batteries died again, so I learned that my battery life is approximately 3 hours of on and off video. Mostly off. Again, I need a new camera. So anyway, what I'm going to do is mark, or I have the top of where I want this to come out pinned. So I'm going to measure down, I think 3 inches would be a good, do I have 3 inches? I barely have 3 inches on this side, maybe 2.5. I'm gonna mark down 2.5 inches and I'm going to draw a line, and then I'm going to do the same thing where I tuck everything in and fold it inward. So there is going to be a lot of fabric here, but I'm okay with that because this is where I'm gonna put the buttonhole. So when I put the buttonhole here, I want it to have a little bit more fabric in there. I think that'll help make it a little bit stronger, especially because from the little bits that I've sewn of this material, of this fake suede, especially if I'm catching like on the end, it just pushes right under the machine, or it gets stuck in the machine so it doesn't go under, and it kind of cuts. So this is a flimsier material than you would think. But yeah, all that to say, I'm gonna measure down 2 inches, 2.5 inches, draw a line across, fold everything up to that line, sew across the bottom. Maybe I'll do another rectangle, haven't decided yet, figure it out when I get there. And then I'll center it and then put the buttonhole in, which I'm probably not going to go into too much detail because each machine is kind of different. So yeah, I'm going to go do that real quick, and then I'm very tired, so I will freight check the buttonhole, which takes a while to dry. So I will probably be done with this for the night, hopefully. Can't cross my finger. Hold on. Hopefully this will be done tonight. I can get the freight check in and drying, and then I can do a reveal tomorrow, which, you know, I did my makeup for this. I was hoping to get all of this done in one sitting, but I also have some voiceovers and stuff to do, so this is not gonna get done in one sitting. But yeah, I'm gonna do that, and the next time I will see you all will probably be tomorrow. All right, so here is the finished look. I went ahead and crisscrossed the straps because it just holds this up a little bit better. They are a little bit too long to have regular straight straps. I mean, it still works. It still holds this part up. It's just a little loose and it looks a little weird. So anyway, I'm pleasantly surprised with how this went. I'm pretty happy with it, all things considered, even wonky zipper. And when I put this on this morning, I could basically take 4 inches out of it, and it was kind of tight last night, so I don't know what my body's doing. So yeah, here's everything nice and adjusted and put on. When I originally kind of came up with this project, I had one specific shirt in mind to go with it, which happens to be in Georgia right now. Anyway, point is, it's done. Here it is. This is how I style it for the day. I am not going anywhere because I'm being a responsible human being, and also the only place I was going to go today was this tea shop in my local flea market, but I found out the tea shop closed their location over there and then they're trying to open somewhere else, so I really don't have a reason to go out today. But anyway, there are a lot of awful things going on in the world right now, and it's not healthy for anybody to be constantly focusing on the negative. And even though there are so many issues that we need to bring forward and bring to life and really do something about and focus on, it's just not healthy to constantly be focusing on the negatives. And everybody needs just a quick breath of fresh air every now and then. So I hope maybe this will have entertained somebody, or if you wanted to put this on in the background while you go do something else just to have some background noise, I hope you were productive doing whatever else you wanted to do. So as a recap, is this the most professional thing I've ever sewn? No. Is this the cleanest thing I've ever sewn? No. Is this the most well-fitting thing I've ever sewn? No. But did I have a good time making it? Yeah, surprisingly I did. I'm happy with it. I'm not entirely sure how often I'm going to wear this because now that I have this on, this suede is very heavy. Well, it's not heavy, it's just hot. And it is June in Florida right now, and I'm about to head up to June in Georgia, which is slightly better. Not a whole lot better, a little bit better. But still, it's gonna be hot, and this is definitely a more like fall weight fabric. So we'll see if I actually get any use out of this. So knowing that this can be taken in a little bit and that it is a little big on me right now means that I probably will get a lot of wear out of it over the next couple of years if I should choose to. Which means that I'm probably gonna have to come back and like actually do something here to try to cover this up, because from far away I feel like this looks really cute and this is a cute little dress, and I like it, but kind of up close it kind of looks really rough. I know for the zipper I was trying to add in as much width as possible to try to give me a little bit more wiggle room in the waistband because I knew it was already a little tight. So that's kind of why the zipper ended up going in really wonky and why I didn't use like an invisible zipper or anything. So now that I know that I have room in this and I have room to expand, maybe at some point I'll eventually redo the zipper. I don't know. I keep telling myself I'm going to come back and make all these different alterations and changes and improvements to all the things that I make, and then I never do. So the option is there if I ever get bored enough. But yeah, if you liked this video and if you want to see more from me, go ahead and subscribe. Also leave me a like and maybe a comment if you have anything to add or anything you want to say, even if it's just something like, Sam, this is horrible, still works for me. So yeah, go ahead, give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, it would help me out a lot. So if there are any particular patterns out there that you'd really like to see me follow, go ahead and either leave them in a comment down below, comment on one of my other videos. If you want live updates on things that I'm doing behind the scenes, you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram at threadandneedlefish. I didn't really post a lot about this one because there are other things that need to take precedence on the timeline, and there are other things that are way more important than this little kind of recycle project that I'm working on. So I didn't want to clog up anybody's timeline with that if it's stopping them from getting actual relevant information to things that are going on in the world right now. Now I have no excuses, so hopefully I will get that done pretty soon. There's a car pulling up outside my house. Why? I did not order anything? Okay, we're moving on. All right, cool.